What would you say if I tell you that this color that you see here is not the same color that I see, that any other person see, or that an animal see? And I'm not talking about the name of the color, because that depends on many other things, but of its tone. And this applies to any other color that you see. This is because colors do not exist. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but let me explain you. We see colors because the light has wavelengths that reaches some of the cells that we have in the retina that are called photoreceptor cells, rods and cones. All these cells send a message to our brain, and our brain interprets this as a certain color. This is because from all the electromagnetic spectrum around us that goes from radio waves to gamma rays, which are the most energetic, we only perceive with our eyes a very small portion of this electromagnetic spectrum that it contains the light, and it's called the visible spectrum. This goes from 700 nanometers, more or less, that we see as red, to 400 nanometers that our brain interprets as violet. The light reaches our retina, which is at the back of our eye, going through the pupil and being accommodated thanks to the lens. In the back of the eye, in the retina, we have two types of photoreceptor cells, which are cones and rods. The cones, the ones that allow us to see all the colors that we see, are concentrated in a certain part of the retina, in the center of the retina, that is called the fovea. The information that all these cells recollect are sent to the brain thanks to the optic nerve. Rods are highly sensitive to light, so they are very important to see in the dark. Humans are trichromats, and that's because we have three types of cones, the cells that allow to see the colors and perceive the different wavelengths of light. For example, the long wavelengths are recollected by the red cones, the medium wavelengths by the green cones, and the short wavelengths, that are the most energetic, by the blue cones. This mixture of information that all these cells receive allows us to distinguish all the colors that we see. How many colors do we see? We see a lot, around 1 million colors. That's not bad for a human being, huh? But around 10% of males with XY chromosomes are colorblind. That means that this is because the genes coding for some of the opsins, which are green and red, are in chromosome X. Since males only have one, then they have higher chances of having a mutated opsin. People with green cones mutated perceive red and green very similarly. It's like a brownish color. People with red cones mutated is something similar, but for the opposite reason. And these are protanopes. And people with blue cones mutated are tritanope, and they see quite differently. And these are very rare. But actually, they see very quite interesting tomatoes, don't you think? There is another interesting phenomenon. I just told you that we are trichromats because we have 3 different types of cones. But in people with 2 X chromosomes, which are mostly females, it has been shown that mutations in one of the copies of the green or red opsins, which are in the X chromosomes, may cause another cone. They're going to have a 4th cone. These people are tetrachromats because they express the regular opsin and the mutated one at the same time. So they may contain another extra chromosome. It's not that rare because it has been shown that 12% of females may be tetrachromats. And this is a lot of people. But maybe they don't know that they have this condition. And these people can see at least 100 million colors. They don't see a different spectrum that trichromats see. But the thing is that for the same color that we see, these people can distinguish a lot of different tones. And if we know that humans don't perceive the same colors, imagine how differently the animals of our planet see the world. Different species have different types of photoreceptor cells, and they respond to different wavelengths of the light, and they live in very diverse habitats. For example, the bees. They also have 3 different types of photoreceptor cells, but their spectrum is so much different to ours. Actually, they see ultraviolet light that we don't. So how do they see? Well, we really don't know because we are not in their brains. But we can expect that because of the mixture of the information that they can recollect, for some things or some colors that we see very homogeneous, these animals can perceive so many different types of tones, including ultraviolet light. And let me introduce you to this particular animal, which is very amazing, which is the mantis shrimp. We get back again to our visible spectrum with the 3 types of cones. Well, the mantis shrimp have 16 different types of photoreceptor cells. So we cannot really imagine the colors that they see. They also include ultraviolet light and infrared light that we don't really can perceive. So how do they see? Because it's not only this. Since their eyes can move independently and each eye has 3 different compartments, we really know that they can calculate distances with a very high precision. And finally, this is also very amazing, they can perceive or detect the polarization of the light, something that we cannot really imagine. So what's this advantage? For example, they can distinguish different types of fish thanks to how the scales on their skin reflect the polarization of light. And they can distinguish the fish inside the ocean. Quite incredible, don't you think? So, and then, with all this information you have, how do you see it now?